According to legend, he came to Anatolia in the form of a dove, there being no more inoffensive creature. With a gazelle on one side and a lion on the other, he dreamed of a world in which the wolf and the lamb, the gazelle and the lion could live together in peace. But he was not referring to the gazelle and lion of the external world. He meant the lion and gazelle within us, personality and existence, body and soul. A world in which the eternal male and female are reconciled. The road to world peace goes through internal peace. This is the essence of all ancient teachings. The Sema dance, which means hearing, comes from the word meaning sky. The soul that receives this call whirls towards the sky. The free souls circling a sun that does not rise or set are resurrected in this eternal dance. HACI Bektaş Veli was born in Khorasan in Central Asia and was raised in the lodge of Ahmet Yesevi, the first known Turkish mystic. The environment in which he grew up comprised a mixture of Turkish, Chinese, Indian, Iranian and Arab beliefs and culture. These beliefs and culture moved to Anatolia in the 13th century with an immigrating Turkoman clan who believed in them, where they further mixed with old Anatolian and Christian beliefs. He settled in Anatolia in lands given by the Seljuk state and began to spread his spiritual teachings. It is said that he wrote 2 books in Arabic but spread the teaching in Turkish. The 13th century saw an urbanized Turkish population, settled, literate, with a high level of culture, whose Islam was original and by the book. In contrast, the nomadic Turkoman clans seemed able to dissolve any religious belief and teaching into their understanding of Islam.
Allah Muhammed Ali, HACI Bektaş VELİ.
The Sunni Turks looked on the nomadic Turkomans as heterodox and heretical, and for this reason it seemed that conflict was inevitable. In fact, these 2 different views and the tensions they caused eventually led to an uprising of the Turkoman tribes. The rebellion was bloodily suppressed by the Anatolian Seljuk state. However, the event provided an opportunity for the Mongols, who were already pressing against the borders of Anatolia, to invade. And the people found themselves faced after the rebellion with Mongolian massacres. This scene of blood, tears, pain, famine and hunger in the outside world provided the background to the different discourses of the 3 most important figures of 13th century Anatolia, Mevlana in Konya, Yunus Emre in Eskişehir, and HACI Bektaş Veli in Suluci Karahöyük. Taking no notice of the war outside, they spoke of a unity of body and soul to be reached through an internal struggle to discipline the self. They indicated that only when the internal battle had been won would the external battle cease. Even if they were not very wrong, we have arrived in the 21st century and the wars continue. The Turkoman tribes, who suffered most from the Anatolian wars of the 13th century, accepted HACI Bektaş Veli as their pir, and in time came to be known as Alevi, meaning those who follow Ali. The Anatolian Bektaş movement thereby gained its own peculiar character.
Kim dokudu binçi çekti halını, kim diriltti bin yıl yatan ölüyü, cennet yaradan gelen oluyu, dolduran Muhammed içer Ali'dir.
Who wove this carpet of 1,000 flowers? Who raised the one dead for 1,000 years? The liquor coming to the assembly of 40 is filled by Muhammad, drunk by Ali. It is important not to confuse the mythical Muhammad and Ali of Bektashi and Alevi belief with the flesh and blood historical prophet Muhammad and Ali. Ali, also called Shah, is actually the symbol at the beginning of creation of a consciousness which can perceive and understand God's secret treasure, which can manifest and give shape to this treasure. The creative principle called Ali entered the worlds of the scene as the foundation stone of the universe, and here too is reflected in different guises. The cry of the divine Shah is like that of the crane, his staff in the Nile, his gown with a dervish.
Hazreti Şah'ın ablası, turna derler bir kuş kanı, asasın deryasında, hırkası bir derviştedir.
One of the manifestations of Ali, and the one who carried his gown, was the traditional leader of the Bektashi, HACI Bektaş Veli. It is thought that the historical HACI Bektaş Veli led a peaceful life in the village of Suluci Karahöyük. There is no extant historical record or other knowledge from his own time. All our knowledge stems from periods hundreds of years later. Indeed, the Bektashi movement, which carried his name, was founded at the beginning of the 16th century by Balim Sultan in his name. However, even though HACI Bektaş Veli did not found the Bektaş Lodge, he was the person who laid the main principles of the Bektashi belief system. According to HACI Bektaş Veli's interpretation of Islam, people, whatever their race, colour or religion, all have a heart. This view led to a wide tolerance that did not discriminate between religions. He forbade the thefts and lies of the hand, the tongue and the loins, physical and verbal violence together with adultery. He said, "Hurt not even if you are hurt. Do not, like the devil, see only yourself. Serve. Serve the people, the guest, the guide, the lodge. Don't wake anyone's sleeping dog. Don't preen yourself. Do not be jealous." There is no need for lengthy words. The way he came to Anatolia, according to legend, as a dove, sufficiently describes his peace-loving and gentle character. What could better explain HACI Bektaş Veli than a dove? HACI Bektaş Veli's teaching can still be seen today to a degree in the Cem Ceremony.
Önce şimdi herkes burada dilli başlı 7'den 70'e cem cümleten birbirimizden hoşnut ve razı mıyız? Cem cümleten birbirimizden hoşnut ve rıza mıyız? Razıyız. Cemi cümleten birbirimizden hoşnut ve rıza mıyız? Razıyız. Cemi cümleten birbirimizden hoşnut ve razı mıyız? Razıyız.
At the start of the Cem ceremonies, which are the way of worship of the Bektashi and Alevis, the fathers ask if there is anyone in dispute or at odds with each other. If there are, they solve the problems and reconcile the parties. Only after this do they proceed to worship.
Gönül birliğiyle diyelim Allah Allah. Allah Allah, akşamlar hayırlar, hayırlar, fethullah, şerlerde.
The Görgü Cemleri, which are a kind of popular court, are held once a year. The Alevi communities solved their problems themselves for centuries without recourse to the Ottoman judiciary. The highest punishment was to be shut out of the community.
Onu onunla konuşacaksın artık. Gel niyazlaşalım. Tamam.
As a result of the variety of their influences and sources, we find the main motifs and essence of all spiritual teachings and creation myths behind the outer shell of Bektashi and Alevi beliefs. If Bektashi and Alevi beliefs seem peculiar and parochial, they are in fact based in universal religious understanding.
Şimdi 12 hizmetler meydana gelsinler.
We meet the universal number 12 at the beginning of the ceremony. The 12 apostles of Christ, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 gods of Olympus, the 12 labors of Hercules, the 12 star signs, and so on.
12 hizmetin kabulüne diyelim Allah Allah.
Allah Allah, Allah Allah, 12 hizmetler kabul muratları hasıl ola. Hacı Bektaş Veli'den ola, Nur Nebi, Kerem Ali, Gülban, Muhammed'i. Demi Pir Hünkar Hacı Bektaş Veli, gerçek erenler demine.
Allah Muhammed ya Ali. Allah Muhammed ya Ali. Allah Muhammed ya Ali. Nurula sırula, nurula sırula, nurula sırula.
Sırrı sirden demine.
What is it that conceals this mystery and is actually Allah, Muhammad, Ali from a single truth?
Diyelim Allah Allah.
Allah Allah, Seyyid Faraj Efendimizin hüsnü himmet ve hidayeti hazır ve nazır ola, gelmiş, erişmiş, göz gözü katmış ola, hizmet sahibi.
In many teachings, and also in the one body theory, the creation of the universe is a manifestation of the absolute, of God. God, in the endless darkness, is a concealed treasure turning into himself and sees the splendor of his own being. He loves this essence and spreads love. He wants to know this impeccable treasure, and in order to be seen, radiates and becomes light. This light is divine consciousness, the Word. Allah, this divine consciousness or light, is the one which does not contain the shadow of the many. This duality only comes to be with creation, with the unseen being made seen. The giver of form needs something to give form to. Allah first creates and gives shape to Kuli Nefs, a passive gem from the shadow he casts on his own unbearable light. Kuli Nefs is actually the apparent power of God to give life and body. It is a kind of womb or place of manifestation where the potential ideas and creatures within the concealed treasure that God wants to be known can emerge and find life in the world of the visible. Kuli Nefs, this place of manifestation, is shrouded in darkness in the form of a void. We can think of Kuli Nefs as a kind of mirror or photographic negative. It reflects the spirit, that divine consciousness transmitted uncorrupted through the breath of Allah. There is a link between body and soul in all religions, and the feminine word nefs comes from the Arabic for breath. So Kulli Nefs means that soul or consciousness which binds with the body by means of the breath from Allah. Kulli Nefs is embodied soul, soul and body. In the Bektashi phrase, it is a soul body. Kulli Nefs, the divine consciousness reflected through the breath of Allah, dresses this perfect form with its own jewel of life and love. This creation, Kulli Akıl, is also called the genuine light, or universal man. In one sense, Kulli Nefs is the clay Allah uses to make the concealed treasure visible. And that which gives form to this clay is the perfect form of Allah as pure consciousness. As clay takes shape, hand and clay cannot be separated. In the same way, during the creation of the material world, the power to create, to give body and life, mythologically portrayed as female, and the male principle of design and shaping cannot be separated from each other in Kulli Akıl. Everything apparent in the universe is touched by that endless dance of polar opposites, active and passive, male and female. We find the most concrete portrayal of this in the Chinese yin-yang symbol. Passive contains active and active passive. Man contains woman and woman man. These are like two sides of the same coin. So Allah, the active principle of creation, the passive principle of Kulli Nefs, and Kulli Akıl, which brings the two together, are nothing other than the light, the various manifestations of God. They are the creative principles which manifest the secret treasury, the names and descriptions of God. These three creative principles are known as Allah, Muhammad, and Ali in Alevi and Bektaşi belief, while in Christianity they are called the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. In Judaism, Crown, Queen, and King. In Hindu culture, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. In ancient Egypt, they took the names Osiris, Isis, and Horus.
Allah Muhammed Ya Ali. Allah Muhammed Ya Ali. Allah Muhammed Ya Ali.
God wants to be known and to manifest himself through the love he feels for himself. The power of giving life and body inherent in Kulli Nefs, which is Kulli Akıl, becomes active through pure consciousness. Kulli Nefs moves in the same way as the different colours of light combine, or water takes the shape of different containers. It conceals the same form of God behind different bodies and hides the Absolute from all. It makes the mystery of God even more of a secret.
Nurola sırola, nurola sırola.
Sırrı siniden demnehu. Allah Muhammed Ya Ali.
Allah Muhammed Ya Ali.
Allah Muhammed Ya Ali.
The Muhammad and Ali of this trio are not the Prophet Muhammad and his son-in-law and nephew Ali of history, but symbols of the creation of man and the universe.
Allah Muhammed Ya Ali. Biz gulem Hayderiyiz, etmeyiz adudan hufu pak. Kırklar meydanda pirimiz, ustazımız Selman-ı Pak. Ber cemalı Muhammed, Kemal İmam Hasan, Şah Hüseyin, Ali Rahbülende versin selavat diyelim Allah Allah. Allah Allah, Selman-ı Pak Efendimizin hüsnü himmet.
God, who is covered in many forms and colours by Kulli Nefs, is the creative energy represented as the mother goddess in mythology. This pure life energy never changes, reduces, or disappears. This energy, in various guises and forms, becomes solar systems and the life on our world. the energy left over when physical creation is complete, is represented in Hindu culture in the form of a snake. Again, in Hindu culture, this snake energy, called Kundalini Shakti, is understood to sleep under the backbone. We find the same symbol in the figure representing the universe, or universal man, on the Balim Sultan tomb in the Bektaş lodge. There are two sides to creation. One goes from a spiritual center to a plurality. The other returns to the spiritual center from plurality. Plurality is in fact the separation of pure consciousness from the divine source. This creative energy is called Shakti in Hindu culture and is a curtain alienating creatures from the divine source. It is Maya. Until the creative and productive mother raises the covers she has put in place, we cannot return to the center we came from. Therefore, this female energy, represented as the snake, needs to be woken up and mobilized. This is the beginning of spiritual awakening. After the awakening snake energy has risen and joined with the secret in the heart, it goes again to where it came from, completing the circle. The Sanskrit word for this creation energy, Kundalini Shakti, means a fire burning in a hollow cup.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahu nuru semavati vel ard mersellili nurihi.
This 35th verse of the surah, Light, which is recited at Cem Ceremonies, briefly says this: Allah is the light of the skies and the earth. His light is like that of a lamp. The lamp is as if it was made of glass, like a star from a pearl. The lamp is lit from an olive tree. The oil from this tree spreads light even if fire seems not to touch it. This is light upon light. Allah gives the light to whom He wishes. The saying, light upon light, seems as if it represents Kulli Nefs, which is light, together with Kulli Akal, which is that same light, that divine consciousness, clothed through the gem of Kulli Nefs that gives love and light. To reach divine knowledge, to take steps towards the spiritual world, we have to embrace that spiritual awakening of light called Kulli Nefs, that mythologically female power which brought us down to the material world. In the Cem ceremony of the Nur Hak Alevis, this awakening female energy is symbolized by the rising of the women to their feet. This divine consciousness, symbolized by a candle or a light in a bowl, comes to life and is lit after this awakening and begins the journey towards the spiritual center, towards unity.
Çara uruşa farkı dervişan himmeti piran piri horasan küşadı meydan gele erişesin ya sahip zaman diyelim Allah Allah.
Allah Allah. Hak erenler yapılan hizmetleri divan dergahına kayıt eyleyelim. Nur Nebi Kerem Ali Pirimiz Üstadımız Seyyid Muhammed Hünkar Hacı Bektaş Veli gerçek erenlerin demine hü mümine ya Ali. Hata etti mühda yak delili Muhammed Mustafa yak delili.
The second creative principle in Bektashi belief is Kulli Nefs, which is represented by Muhammad. The feminine or mother nature of Kulli Nefs, the creative energy, is not a matter of gender. This feminine principle is an energy of tenderness, peace, softness and self-sacrifice, which can silently end itself, which gives us life and breath, nurtures us spiritually and physically, and protects us. This is an energy found in both men and women. In the same way, isn't HACI Bektaş VELİ the perfect man who came into the blood and tears of the 13th century to meet men's spiritual needs and nurture them? an energy of peace and kindness. HACI Bektaş Veli took Ali to symbolize the light, the universal man, the Kuli Akıl, who has no dichotomies in his nature like soul and body, mind and breath, male and female. As people, our spiritual existence was once in this Kuli Akıl. When Allah wants something to be, He says, be, and it is. On this command, the cosmic mind known as Insani Kamil came down and began to form the material world we know. The birth of man and matter was manifested through the sacrifice of that everlasting spirit, Kuli Akil, or Insani Kamil, without gender, form or differentiation. After creation, the lower nature of Kuli Nefs, life and life energy, is fastened to the physical body and takes corporeal form. In this way, this energy both gives life and spirit to the body created from earth, and also equips this body with all the knowledge and psychological and emotional equipment it needs to preserve and maintain itself. It's something we share with plants and animals.
Canlı cansız cümlemiz bir nesneden, gül yüzlü sevdiğim gel gel. Var oluyor bu bir hikmet sultanım, gül yüzlü sevdiğim gel gel. Sevip aşık olmak ezelden baktım
To love, to fall in love, has been my fate from time immemorial, says Deadly Divani, because the reason that creation makes the invisible visible is love. Love, in all creatures, including man, other than Allah, is a fire which destroys all beings and all relations. Therefore, when love burns, it is nothing else than the unmediated knowledge of Allah, as it leaves nothing but Allah behind. But this ability is dormant in man. The Divine Spirit, which at Allah's command descends to the material level and conceals itself in the hearts of men, becomes converted into a desire to know the material world and the body. In this way, man's mind becomes a window through which spirit perceives the world. But man has eaten of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which led to his banishment from paradise. This is the source of judgment, which spoils the purity of the mind. Man has eaten of the forbidden fruit and has descended to the material level, and his mind is thus judgmental, dividing and compartmentalizing. Man labels his impressions of the outside world good and bad. He rejects the evil and puts it out of his mind. He tries to possess the good. This opens the way to ambition, jealousy, anger, hate, arrogance, and dependence. In time, these build a wall in our hearts which hides the divine light from our sight. Thus, man becomes separated from the divine light and starts to think he actually comprises these feelings and thoughts. Becoming one with his body, he comes to identify with the customs of the community he lives in and becomes a mother or father, gains a profession and nationality. Personality and character emerge in this way. Bad behavior leaves ugly marks on the personality, symbolized by a container in Bektashi belief. Bad habits deform this container. Thus, man completely immerses himself in the material world and forgets God's presence in himself. As Allah sacrificed his spiritual existence to create the visible world, man must renounce his human existence and personality in order to become the universal man and complete his evolution. While the descent, the creation, is Allah's affair, the ascent is for man and requires his unique effort and this effort always starts with a call.
Merhaba teyzeciğim, akşama Cem töreni var. Sakın gelmemezlik etme, olur mu? Olur.
The Cem ceremonies, which are held to remember who we are, to discover our heavenly roots, always start with a call to join the ceremony. The truth is one, but ways to it are many. The Bektashi know this, and this is why there is so little religious prejudice amongst them. HACI Bektaş Veli's duty to awaken was passed on to the fathers. A father is one who acts as a guide on the inner journey. In Bektashi and Alevi belief, there are 4 doors on the road that leads to God. The first of these is Sharia, the stage where the outer face of religion and its rules are learned. Muhammad, as a prophet, is chosen to symbolize kulli nefs because he transmitted the message of God, the Quran, as a mirror, without corrupting it with his own character, thought, and judgment. While Ali thus reflects the creative principle of Muhammad, the knowledge of Allah, uncorrupted, he also has the power to reveal its inner, hidden meaning. The principle represented by Muhammad can only be understood by going through the door represented by Ali. This is why Ali, the heart of man, is regarded as the living Quran in Bektashi belief.
İyice inceledik biz o Kur'an'ı, biz canlı kitapta okuduk onu. Arif ol da evvel evvel kendini tanı, yoksa aklın ermez lisanımıza. Arif ol da önce kendini tanı. It is not possible to understand what Allah and kulli nefs are without understanding Ali, our essence, the spirit of the universe and man, insani kamil, that divine light concealed in our hearts. In short, Ali is the door which leads from consciousness of the many to consciousness of the one. The threshold of the door which propels us from the material to the spiritual world is the lower energy of kulli nefs, known as Kundalini Shakti. This energy, this threshold, is symbolized by Fatma, Muhammad's daughter. And her marriage with Ali, the awakening of the divine light in the heart, Kundalini Shakti, represents the mythological sacred marriage. So, if the threshold is spiritual awakening, Ali is the door opening to knowledge of God, the consciousness taking us to union. Ali is the symbol of our essence and the divine consciousness or light hidden in our hearts. From one point of view, Allah, who cannot fit into the universe, fits into people's hearts and is closer to them than their own lifeblood. Man is a living temple because of the godliness he carries in his heart. He is sacred. Kamil irfanıdır bizim gıdamız, meleklerin secdegahı demiz. To respect and serve man, whom Allah created with care and had his angels respect, is the essence of Bektashi worship. Man and the love of man have come to be the focal points of Bektashi and Alevi belief.
But this love is because of Ali, the universal man, hidden in every man's heart.
İbreti razıyam, lütufa kahre, asla değer vermem, cahile köre.
For the Bektashi, a normal man who is unaware of the divine light inside is ignorant even if educated. What he really values is the heart. But beyond man, even animals as living creatures are to be respected and loved. A real Bektashi never hunts. All souls in the Cem ceremony are one. A person who crosses the threshold of the Cem house symbolically takes a step into the spiritual world and leaves behind the world and everything to do with the world, including gender. In the Cem arena, there are no men and women, only souls and spirits.
Hak bizi mahrum eyleme, hak bizi mahrum eyleme. Kurusun ulu divanlar, kurusun ulu divanlar. Canımızı serimizi, canımızı serimizi. Vermeye gelmişiz canlar, vermeye gelmişiz canlar.
The only Islamic sect in which women can join in and take a role in religious services is the Bektashi sect. It cannot be seen from outside whether or not a person is Ali, the universal man. Therefore, the Bektashi have to consider everyone godly, whether man or woman. The real is the heart. And Ali is the same divine light found in everyone, male and female. For those who go beyond Sharia, the external knowledge of religion, and seek to learn its inner face, to learn religious truth, the starting point is necessarily that act of sacrifice which constitutes the root of creation. The aim of being such a seeker is to be saved from human limitations and to become a real person, the universal person, Ali. But this, in the same way as God sacrificed his own divine being to become visible, means that people need to sacrifice their own souls in the same way. The way a sacrificial animal is held by one leg actually symbolizes the separation or cleansing of the fourth, our personality, from the trio of Allah, Muhammad, Ali. Within the personal ego, a duality emerges. When stripped of the debris of this duality, it becomes Ali.
Buyurun, erenler meydanına.
Buyurun, ikrar verecek olan canlar gelsinler. Meydana önce bir niyaz olun. Cümle Cem erenlerinin aşkı niyazı diyeceksiniz. Eyvallah.
Those who wish to join the order first have to find a guide.
Esselamu aleyküm ehli şeriat erenleri.
Aleyküm selam ehli şeriat erenleri.
Esselamu aleyküm ehli marifet erenleri.
Aleyküm selam ehli tarikat erenleri.
Esselamu aleyküm ehli marifet erenleri.
Aleyküm selam ehli marifet erenleri. Gelme gelme dönme dönme. Gelenin malı dönenin canı. Bu meydandan iyice başlar kesir.
The seeker tries to correct his actions, which are the words and thoughts created by our own ego, the products of mind which give shape to our character. The mind, cleansed in this way, turns in on itself to reach the spiritual center with the help of the guides.
Talibin eli dedede, dedenin eli mürşitte, mürşidin eli pirde. Ayfa bima ahad aleyhullah feseyuhti ecren azima. Hatta Muhammed Mustafa Ali el-Murtaza, Seyyid Muhammed Hünkar HACI Bektaş Veli Khurasan Efendimizin yeşil pencere.
The soul is the body of the spirit. It is the urge to reproduce, prompted by a desire to stay alive. These are the sine qua non of life. Without these urgings, life won't continue. Life, whether in plant, animal, man or woman, is the same life. Spirit is the same spirit. And life is female energy, the secret of kulli nefs. Life energy could be symbolized by the snake because the snake changes its skin. Life, like a snake continually changing its skin, continually renews itself through changing its body. But inside each body, the life remains the same, as the snake remains the same. The spiritual side of life begins to sleep after material creation. But creation, in order to complete evolution, requires the snake to bring the man, whose life force it has woken and taken down to earth, back to where he came from, to Ali. Man, in order to complete his evolution and become the universal man, must die in the material world and be reborn in the spiritual. In Bektashi belief, the most important tool in foregoing a person's human existence is service. A person who works and serves does not see himself as being above the others, but puts himself in the background and is humble. The purpose of humility is to be as the earth. The earth accepts dirt, tarnish, everything, and silently covers them. Everyone disturbs it, but plants, new and different life, spring from it. In the same way, man must be taken to pieces, taken down, and must die before death. The death of the soul is precisely this. A grain of wheat in the earth on dying gives 1,000 sheaves.
Gel benlik eyleme, nefsini öldür, hak yoluna canın, armağan getir, kin ile kibiri aradan kaldır, getirme benliği, yükünü dersin, yükünü dersin.
The novice, the seeker, tries to grow through the application of principles such as humility, love, tolerance, and service in order to free himself from the tarnish and the wall between his heart and mind created by feelings such as anger and pride, which prevent his seeing the divine light. However much Alevi and Bektashi congregations, amongst other Sufi lodges, seem not to observe the formal requirements of Islam, a high moral standard can be observed in them. This high moral standard helps people grow, but does not have merely being a good person as its essential aim. Indeed, the aim of being a good person itself strengthens and feeds the artificial identity, the false ego which has to be conquered. It can lead to people seeing themselves as superior. For a person on the road to becoming a universal person, the aim of these moral strictures is to lead to a completely non-judgmental position, like a mirror. If you seek God, if you want to see God's beauty, conceal what you see, don't relate what you haven't seen.
Gördüğün artık görmediğin söylemem efendim.
Only with an earth-like modesty can man find that purity and innocence, that unstained and perfect mirror receiver-like quality that Kulli Nefs had in the beginning, which allows him to accept what he sees and hears without being judgmental. When the pollution of thought and feelings which break up the reflection of the mirror of the heart, which create the you-me dichotomy, which distract the intention to the external world with its wants and desires are cleaned away, the energy in the material layer of Kulli Nefs, spiritual awareness, rises and binds with that small divine light, with Ali. Then, the way to knowledge of God opens, and Ali begins to be reflected in the mirror of the heart. Thus, the mythological theme of the sacred marriage, the marriage of Ali and Fatima in Bektashi belief, becomes realized. At first, one looking in the mirror sees the reflection, Ali, as being something completely separate from his own identity. There is still a dualism. But in time, And in the same way as the stars disappear one by one as the sun rises, personality disappears, becomes insignificant in the full grandeur of that light. This is such a fire that it annihilates everything other than itself. The consciousness of self is so reduced that this is love, the state of immediate knowledge of God, which is the rank of fenafila. The gathering of the Sufis, their coming together, is known as Cem. This is the reason why Bektashi and Alevi ceremonies, which aim to achieve this union, are known as Cem ceremonies. The aim of worship is first to enter through the doors of the lodge and the knowledge of God in order to see that internal divine light. They go through the door of truth to see that it is the same as one's own sense of identity.
Aleyküm selam ehli marifet erenleri.
Esselamu aleyküm ehli hakikat ustazları.
Aleyküm selam ehli sırrı.
With human nature and the ego out of the way, the female within us, the gazelle, merges with the lion. That is Ali. So the union of life energy and spiritual energy removes the opposites, contradictions and dualism within us and leads us to peace and repose. From this point of view, the appearance of HACI Bektaş Veli, Mevlana and Yunus Emre in that bloody massacre of the 13th century was no coincidence. Peace outside can only be achieved through peace inside. This is the teaching of all saints, of all the wise. The airs sung to the accompaniment of the saz in Cem ceremonies, and which comprise the basis of Turkish folk literature, are poems which tell of Bektashi and Alevi teachings and beliefs. In the Cem ceremony, they turn with the love of God, and this opens the way to an emergence of a will at a deeper level. The Sema thus becomes a lesson in surrender.
Havayı eğdeli, gönül havayı, havayı eğdeli.
In Alevi belief, the assembly of male and female saints presided over by Ali is known as the Assembly of 40. Ali takes 2 grapes in his hand, one black and one white, crushes them and drinks the juice. The other 39 are enchanted.
Yürüyelim şimdiden sonra uğurdur, aslını yitiren kopar seyirtir. Senin aşkın bana hüdos çağırtır, dost bende yareler türlü türlüdür. Hey dost, hey dost, hey dost, hey dost. Hü hü hü hü, hü hü hü hü. Dediler ki keramet canım haydar, şu benim derdimin dermanı haydar. Asıl kudretlerin sende ayandır, velayet mülkünün sultanı haydar. Hey dost, hey dost, hey dost, hey dost.
Alevi communities try as much as they can to live this spiritual joy of life related in this myth.
Bendini çözer Mecnun Leyla için, çölleri gezer, can der ki canana, yetersin durna, can ver ki canana, yetersin durna.
Derdim 19'unda diyemem ağya. Ben 8'inde kaldım, aklım 7'de hava. Ben şun 6'sı bende ise 5'te çekmem. Elem 4'te yüzden lütfeylerse 3'te bulamça. Ben de nesil içinde gönül 2'den kalır. Değil o sebepten gece gündüz yalvarırım bire ben hediyelim Allah Allah. Allah Allah Allah Allah. Semahlar safola, günahlar afola, semahlar.
To love, to know the Creator immediately, to melt in Him and the intoxication of transcending oneself and being Him, is symbolized in the Alevi Cem ceremonies by wine or rakı called dolu. But in the Cem ceremony of the Nurhak Alevis, the intoxicating symbolism of alcoholic drink is replaced by sprinkled water.
Allah Allah.
12 hizmetimizin kabulüne diyelim Allah Allah.
Allah 12 hizmetlerimiz kabul ola, muratlarımız hasıl ola, hazır gayb, zahir batın, aynı cemelenlerin nur cemallerini aşk ola.
After the meal which has been prepared in the Cem house has been eaten, the father finishes the ceremony and begins to talk with those who remain.
Evet, bizim deyişlerimiz, duazlarımız, semahlarımız bizim varlığımızı, benliğimizi, özümüzü anlatır biliyorsunuz.
The discussion is a way to form spiritual friendships. More than the content, what makes the discussion effective is the structure and process. People learn to hold their attention ready and to remove their ego from the path. The discussion becomes a way for people to know themselves. Through these discussions, people try to conquer the bad habits which deform the container of character and to understand the thoughts, words and deeds which leave stains on it. Bektashi and Alevi souls try to gain the modesty of the earth and the softness and peace symbolized by the dove of HACI Bektaş through service. This road has taught them that all religions are based on a single truth and has paved the way to a religious understanding founded on tolerance.
Kendi noksanını bilip arif ol, kimsenin aybını gözetme gönül. 73 millete bir nazarla bak, hak sevmiş yaratmış, söz etme gönül.
Pure love boils on our hearts. Nightingales come joyfully, flowers open in our breast. Ambition and hate vanish in the presence of love. Lions and gazelles are friends in our arms.
Güzel gülü yolundan kalma, yolundan kalma. Her yüze güleni dost olur sanma. Her yüze güleni dost olur sanma. Ölümden korkup da sen geri kalma, sen geri kalma. Yiğidin alnına